Pokemon. Some big, some small, some incredibly tall, incredibly small, vicious, delicious, and even slow. The world of Pokemon as we know it is well known and loved by many, all the way from the early 90s up until now. Pokemon has been on the minds and hearts of all across many generations, and it would seem as this Pokemon trend never gets old. And this upcoming November, we have a new Pokemon genre, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, November 15th, that is, which is really cool, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about that, but I'm actually more excited about the mainline series in 2019. But neither of those is why I'm making this video. As I was digging through some of my old things and I was going through doing ordinary house cleaning, I came across some of my old drawings of Pokemon that I drew that I wanted to pitch to good old Team Nintendo and good old Game Freak many years ago. But unfortunately, I never got a chance to doing that. But I did find the old pictures, and I thought I'd share them with you guys because I want to know what you guys think of these ideas and what it would have been like if I had actually gotten these Pokemon into, well, an actual game. These were projects that took a lot of my time, and I really put a lot of dedication into them, but I kind of just moved in a different direction and putting work into them before I could even pitch them at Game Freak or Nintendo. But once again, I'm going to show them and share them with you guys because I found my old drawings from many years ago, and if you guys like them enough, well, they may even get attention from Nintendo and they actually may end up in a game in the future. So without further ado, here they are. I hope you guys like them. I'll be talking over them a little bit, describing what they're like, what they were purposed to do, what was their intent, and so on. But anyways, let's get on with the show. Oh yeah, one more thing before we get started. I just want to explain a little bit about what these Pokemon were and what types they were going to be, considering the fact that I'm going to be showing you some designs that I created and showing you what type of evolutions would have come of these type of particular designs, so that you can kind of get an idea of what you're looking at and understand it a little better. This was a time before, I believe, Rotom came along, which is the electric ghost type or ghost by itself type, and when you mix it with appliances like a refrigerator or stove, it turns to electric ghost and or electric water, etc., etc. So this was a time before these types existed, and this was kind of what I was aiming at. But then Rotom came along much later. This is way before that. So this is kind of the concept where I was aiming, and this is where I was kind of headed in a direction as far as new Pokemon types and ideas for the genre at that time. So I just wanted to explain that a little bit so that you guys could understand what you're looking at and get a grasp of the direction I was headed in with these particular designs. Anyways guys, I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, here's our very first look at a rough jab of the very first Pokemon that I created here that I was going to target to Nintendo and Game Freak. As you can see, it's very old. It's on notebook paper here, and as you can see, the notebook paper is very worn and torn, and as you can see, the age is there. It's pretty old. This was done a very, very long time ago, but I was happy to come across these because I want to share them with you guys. It just brought back a lot of memories. But anyways, as you can see here, I created like a little oblong shape. It has like a little hair, and it has a little jewel in his head. And the name of this Pokemon is Silsos. And what it was is, it was a fossil type. It was meant to be a fossil type in this state anyway, and this was going to be its first form. And it also even had an attack called Strange Powers. Unlike most fossils, they don't have any attacks at all. They just they're just fossils, but you could actually use this fossil. The color is white, and it looked like a rock, pretty much. So as you see it here, it doesn't move. It kind of rocks back and forth. That's all it did, and it's just a rock, and it's in a solid, hard form, and it's a rock as a fossil, but it's a Pokemon. And the type of this Pokemon would be unknown until you unfossilized it with a method that you would have to do, which I can't say because I want it to be left a surprise just in case in the future this actually may become a reality. Who knows? I don't. But there are certain things you have to do to evolve it. Unlike a regular fossil, you have to do certain things in order to make it evolve. You couldn't level this up. If you put it in battle, you could use the attack that it has called Strange Power, and what the Strange Power attack would do is you would attack someone and you could kill them, or the attack would heal them, or would confuse them, or sometimes it wouldn't do anything at all. And this is the origins of kind of like the background story of what this Pokemon was and was intended and is intended to be, because there's a lot of strange mystery behind it. And that's one of the reasons why when the premise in the game that I was going to give it was buried very, very deep away from everybody, and it was just there. And of course, you know, like how scientists dig, they find stuff, and they came across this, but there's more of a backstory to it, but I'll explain that a little later when we get further into the video. But they find this, and then of course they take it with them, and eventually you get your hands on it because they give it to you. They don't know how to evolve it, they don't know what they're doing, and it's exhibiting like strange powers in their lab and stuff, so they want to get rid of it as quick as possible. You just happen to stumble along at that particular time and they give it to you, but you don't know what to do with it either. So you go to some person, or you find out some origins about it, and some old man tells you a little story about what he knows about it, and that's how you start getting information about the Pokemon and how to evolve it, how to do this, how to do that, because of the origins of what happened in the backstory, which I will explain later, as I said. But as you can see, there's a little description here of the Pokemon. You know, pretty much states that the Pokemon is very strange and the origins of it is unknown. And this is the very first design. I think it's pretty cool, and that's a little rough draft of what this one was to be. Let me know what you guys think of this particular design down in the comments. Do you think this would be a cool first type of design? Moving on to the next evolution of Silsos. So here's the second stage of Silsos, and this is Silin or either Silos. These are the two names that I were going to give it, but I gave it Silin, but I think I'm going to change it to Silos. This was done a very long time ago, and I came up with Silin or Silos, but since it evolves from Silsos, let's give it the name Silos. And this is an edit change this very day, right now, today, Silos. But anyway, as you can see, it's still getting updates. But anyways, this is the second evolved form of Silsos. You get Silos. And what this Pokemon was the second evolved stage. So when you went through the requirements that you had to do in order to evolve Silsos, you would get this really cool looking type of ghost type Pokemon. And what it is, he's a ghost and he has psychic abilities, but he doesn't have the psychic type. He's ghost. And as you can see, he looks pretty cool. He has little spikes on his head. He has that little crystal. The crystal's moved up a little bit on his head. And he has now a diamond chest kind of thing on his chest. And he has like a little purple collar, as you can see. He looks pretty cool. And he has little wings behind him. 4 of them to be exact. And he looks pretty cool. And I wanted the feeling to be as rewarding as you could get for evolving a Pokemon, because you know, when you evolve a Pokemon regularly, you just, okay, it's the next level, okay, I just did some level up and yeah, it evolved. But in this case, from the fossil, you just couldn't do that. You would have to go through some requirements in order to evolve it. And once you did evolve it, you would get this. And I would assume that by people evolving the Pokemon and getting this, would be pretty shocked of what the fossil evolved into. And that's what I was aiming at. I was aiming towards that satisfactory, yes, wow, really, I went through some work in order to evolve it, and this is what I got. Really cool. I'm really glad I did it, and that's the feeling that I wanted to kind of push with evolving Silph to Silos. This is what you would get. Overall, this Pokemon is cool. I really like it. As you can see, it has a little bit of attack description: Psychic, Hypnosis, Nightmare, and Recover, which is really cool. Again, when we go a little further into the video, I'll explain a little bit more origins to the Pokemon and what it actually really was, or is, should I say. And this is the attacks of the Pokemon. You see down here in the description, it says Psychic, but it's actually Ghost. And I didn't put that at the time because that was the idea I was aiming at. I was like, okay, Psychic, no, it's Ghost. But as you can see here, at that time, I put Psychic there. And of course, down at the bottom, we have a little brief description, and the Pokemon calls this Mischief wherever it goes. It's just a troublemaker. That was the intent of this Pokemon. And once again, that goes back to some of the backstory that I'm going to explain a little bit further in the video as to why this Pokemon was buried and hidden in the first place. But anyways, this was the second type of design that you got when you evolved your Silph. You got Silos, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I do like it. I like it a lot, and this is the design. But let's move on. Again, I don't want the video to be too long, but that's kind of the origin of that, and this is what you would get. And let me know what you guys think of this design down in the comments below. Let me know if you guys like it, and let's move on to the next evolution. Okay guys, here is the third form, and this is the shadow form that you saw in the thumbnail, which I think is the coolest looking form of the forms. Well, so far, you guys haven't seen what other forms are here yet, but I have. This is one of the coolest, should I say. This is one of the coolest looking forms. But anyway, this is the third evolution form of Silph if you evolved it regularly during the evolution states. And again, from Silph, you would have to do some requirements. You just couldn't level them up. You just couldn't level them up and evolve them. You'd have to take some steps, particular items. You have to do some certain things in order to get him to evolve to his next state. Again, I wanted it to be challenging. I wanted it to be a feeling of reward once you evolved it and you got something really cool back in return for doing all of the work that you did in order to evolve your Pokemon. And that's where I was aiming. And so if you did that from Silph, you would get Kata. And this is Kata. He is a ghost psychic type. Now he's a double type. The psychic type is added there, and as you can see, he looks pretty cool. He keeps originally what he was in his second form, but enhances it tenfold. As you can see, he's got his horns still. They spiked up. They're on the side of his head now. He's got a big diamond on the top of his head. That's still there. And as you see, his chest plate is grown. He's got 2 diamonds and his little heart source there. As you can see, that's a part of his source of his powers. He's got his collar. As you can see, his collar is purple. It's grown out a bit. He still has his little hands, but they're floating now on the side of him. And he has those 2 gigantic wings. I mean, those 4 gigantic wings behind him. As you can see, he still has those, and he has a little ball behind him now. A little yellow ball behind him, and he has that little ball on top of his head that he had also when he was Silph. So as you can see, it looks pretty cool. And this was the third design that I made, once again, because I wanted this design to be a feeling of reward once you went through those steps to get to this form. And I think I did a pretty good job here. I can't say that anybody would disagree, even though some may, but I think that if you were to do what you were doing in order to evolve it and got this, I think most people, if not everyone, would be pretty satisfied with what they got. As you can see, this design looks pretty cool. Its name and origin is kind of based off of Catastrophe, and it's a chaos type Pokemon, and that's what it does. And again, a little bit of origin as to why it was sealed away, why it was where it was when the scientists found it. It's because he likes causing havoc, likes destroying stuff. You know, that's just what it was. I think it was a pretty good idea. I just started moving in a different direction and eventually forgot about these designs. And you work hard to get that evolution, and I feel like this design would have done that. I'm pretty sure most people would have felt accomplished by getting this type of form after going through those necessary steps in order to evolve their Silos to Kata. But we're moving on to the next one, and I want to explain, because the reason why I stated in the first beginning, I wanted to push this a little further because I was kind of basing this on kind of what Rotom is today. Back then there was no Rotom, so that was kind of the premise, and these types didn't exist back then, so keep in mind that these types didn't exist back then. So I created this design, but I wanted to push it to the envelope a little bit further. I wanted to push it further. I didn't want this to be the end of the evolutions for this particular Pokemon, because I was just an avid player of Pokemon, and I just played it a lot, and I had a lot of ideas, and again, it's what I came up with. And I was going to pitch this to Game Freak and Nintendo, and I didn't do it. I just did other stuff, but I really wanted to push the envelope. I said if I was going to present something, I said I was going to present something great. As far as Pokemon development is concerned, at that time, nothing like this existed. So anyway, let's move on, and I'll talk a little bit more of what I intended to do. So once again, as I was saying, I wanted to push the envelope, and that's what I did with this. At the time, there were no ghost water, there were no ghost fire, there were no ghost electricity, there were no ghost water, and this is kind of where I was aiming with that. And so I came up with this as a form that you would get from Silos if you took the required steps in order to get this particular type from evolving Silos. Instead of evolving it into Kata, you went through the measurements and you aimed toward getting Xanth here. So this is Xanthorope, and Xanthorope is the electric form of Silos if you evolve it into its electric state. And as you can see, it looks pretty cool. It keeps its wing design. It really has a really cool jagged wing type. It has horns that are going up. He has like yellow electric stripes everywhere. He keeps his collar, but now it's black. And as you can see, there's little zigzags, and he still has the chest plate, of course. He has the diamond in his head. It's yellow now, and the ball is still behind him, as you can see, but it now has a thunderbolt in it, and his hands are kind of like heavy clawitzers, and he looks pretty cool, and that's what I was aiming at with this. And again, I wanted the cool factor to be there for whatever form you went with. So if you went through the required work that you needed to in order to evolve it into whatever form that you wanted to get, then that's what you would get, and you would get a pretty much satisfaction reward type of feeling. That's what I wanted to do with all of the forms, as you will see more when we go on to the next three pictures. This is what you got. This is Xanthorope, and of course you would learn electric attacks, and you could teach it electric attacks. And as you can see, it looks pretty cool. I like it, and I think that if anybody were to evolve it from Silos into Xanthorope, I think people would love it. I think people would love this design. I think it would have been something that was really different at the time. Really epic. You know, something that didn't exist at the time and is really cool even looking at these pictures today. And I think that this is something that would have really been special. It would have been something that would have been really rewarding for players, and I think people would have enjoyed the experience of obtaining these Pokemon through going through those particular steps, not having it be easy either, because the thing was back then that it was still the problem where Pokemon was too easy, and I didn't want that. I wanted to be a challenge for some Pokemon to evolve, and when you did evolve them, you would get a reward feeling from evolving them. I don't see any Pokemon like that today, where you just evolve them by leveling up and that's it. Some you have to do something to evolve it, like trade it or something like that, but this was completely different. You had to get particular items, you had to do some certain things, and then you could evolve it into that particular Pokemon that you wanted. Again, I'm not going to say what you would have had to do, just in case, you know. I don't want to spoil it. If it gets picked up, it gets picked up, you know. But yeah, whatever you would have had to do to evolve these type of Pokemon, you would do that, and this is what you would get. And again, you get that reward factor, and that's what I was aiming for with this. You can see a little bit of details just like in the other ones, but this is really cool. I want to keep the video short, so I'm not going to go through the stuff. It's there. If you can read it, then read it, but you know, it's there. I'm going to go through the rest of the 3 photos and some bonus content at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, so this is what you got if you decided to aim for the electric form of Silos, and I think it's pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you guys like this one over the first one that you would evolve to, Kata? Do you guys like this one over that? Anyway, there's more to come. Let's move on. Okay guys, here is the third step that you would get if you were to take Silos and evolve it into its water state from Silos, and then you would get this. So what I was aiming for here was more of a majestic type of a Pokemon rather than more of an aggressive and more super cool look here. I was going for more of a majestic kind of soft tone, kind of like a Vaporeon, and this is what I came up with. As you can see, it has the 4 wings there still. They're kind of like, you know, fish fins in this form, and then he has the ball there. It's in his tail. He has the collar still. You can see his necktie, and the diamond in his head is a little bit different, but the overall design is still the same. And this is the form that you would get if you went with the water variant of Silos. And those requirements, again, I'm not going to say, but if you went through the requirements to get this particular Pokemon, this is what you would get. And the feeling that I was aiming for here was more of a majestic and beautiful form if you went for this one. So you pretty much would have had a choice of what type you would want, considering whatever type of look you were going for, or what type of Pokemon that you wanted to use at that particular time. And this one was one of those, because of the fact that it has a soft and unique tone rather than aggressive and super cool like the rest of them. It had a unique and individual look to it that would give a unique option for many players who would choose to go with this form. I could assume that it wouldn't be many that would go with this form, but people who wanted it, they could. And the thing about this is that, well, maybe I'll explain that a little bit later, but this is the form that you would get, and I think it looks pretty cool. I think it looks majestic. I think it kind of reminds me of a dragon at the same time. This is, of course, this is Ghost Water, and at the time that didn't exist, and this is what you would get if you were to evolve that to this variant. Looks pretty cool. I think the design is neat. And what do you guys think down below? Do you guys think this looks cool? Let's move on to the next design. By the way, I don't want to get sidetracked. I know I'm trying to move through this a little quicker because there's a lot of stuff that I'm trying to get through.
I don't want to have you guys here all day. The last name of that Pokemon was Hydros. I apologize for skipping it. Anyways, so here is the next form, which is Fire and Ghost. And if you went with the Fire variant of Silos, this is what you would get. You would pretty much get a Phoenix type of bird type Pokemon that looks really cool, that has blazing red hot orange glowing little zigzags and in it. It has 4 wings, looks kind of like a bird, like a phoenix. Like I said, a phoenix type of aim was what I was going for, and it looks pretty cool. As you can see, it has double wings, 2 wings on top, 2 wings underneath, and what it does, it'll spread out the wings, and if it chooses to, you'll see all 4 of them. It'll spread them out to intimidate opponents. As you can see, it's a pretty cool design. It keeps its premise, keeps the diamond in its head, still has its chest diamond. Of course, that's the source of its power, and the ball is actually in the center of the wings. You just can't see him because the wings is covering it now. As you can see, there's no ball above his head anymore. That's not there in this form. Neither was it there in the Hydros form either. But anyway, this is what you would get. You would get this particular Pokemon, and of course the type is Fire and Ghost, and you could teach it fire attacks, you could teach it ghost attacks. And yeah, I think this form looks pretty cool. I mean, I like it a lot, and I think that if the player decided to go with the variant getting a fire type from Silos, I think they would be pretty excited and would feel really rewarded for doing that. And again, that's what I was aiming at doing with each design. I want the person to feel like they were rewarded and felt a sense of accomplishment, that they had achieved something and gotten something really great in return due to all the work that they had done to evolve the Pokemon. And that's what I was aiming for. It's just like with Xanthorope, where if they went with the electric type, they'd be like, whoa, that's what I got? That is so cool. Wow, I'm really glad I did that. And that's what I was aiming at for Xanthorope as well. And I think I did that. I think that Xanthorope design looks pretty cool. And yeah, and that's the same for this one. As you can see, Xanthorope, Kata, and here Phoenixios. This one, out of these 3, these are the 3 coolest. And again, Hydros is more of a majestic, kind of beautiful type. I guess it's more feminine than masculine. And I think maybe a lot of girls would have went with the water majestic type, but I can't say. Maybe a lot of guys would have had it too, but it all depends on choice. It was all about choice with these type of designs that I went with. I didn't want to have it to be where you just were using some of the same type Pokemon like you see today. You see a lot of people using the same type Pokemon. There's no uniqueness. There's nobody that says, oh, I have this form of that, or I have this form of that. You know, people are using the same Pokemon. With this would have separated everything. You would have people with this version of the same Pokemon. You would have people with this version of the same Pokemon, and it would be split into unique individual ability with each type of Pokemon. Whatever you decided to go with, also each player would know that whatever they got wasn't easy to get, so they could have bragging rights as well and say, yeah, I got this, and that person could say, yeah, I got this, well, I had to do this, and that person could say, yeah, oh well, I had to do that. So anyway, that's what I was aiming at with this. And if you went with the fire variant of Silos, you would get this right here, this, which I think is a really cool looking design, and I think it looks really great, and I think people would have really enjoyed it. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and let me know if you guys like it. Anyway, let's move on to one of 2 of the last variant designs. Okay, so I know I said 1 of 2, so I meant one of the final designs. So as I said, I wanted to push the envelope with these Pokemon, and I wanted to have it where, since I was going to be focusing my time on one individual Pokemon and those evolutions instead of many different type of Pokemon, and have all different types and have this one and have that one, I wanted to focus on one Pokemon, and I wanted it to have just the most awesomeness that I could put in it. Even after going through Psychic Ghost, Ghost Electric, Ghost Water, and Ghost Fire, I decided to put and push the envelope to one last final form, which would have been an ultimate form and incredibly hard to get. And I tell you the reason why you're going to see in just a second. Now, the only way you would have been able to get this Pokemon from the 4 forms that you saw there, which are, I could say, way easier than to get this one. You'd have to go through so much work in order to get this form, and I wanted it to be that way because of how I designed and created this Pokemon to be. And you're gonna see it in a second. So you would literally have to go through it's a lot. So anyway, I'll show you. So pretty much what you would have had to do to get this particular Pokemon from Celos is the process is incredibly hard. It's incredibly challenging, and it could take you up to a year. You'd probably have to wait for the particular items to come out or whatever you would have needed. Or, you know, it's just so much you had to do to get this one. But anyway, I wanted that to be one of the reasons why I wanted the difficulty level to be at max. And so pretty much what you would have had to do was take your Celos and start the process of evolving it into Kata. So whatever you did, you get those items, you do the process, okay, you start to evolve him into Kata. Okay, you get to the evolution state and say, look, something's happening and it's evolving. So you start the evolution process, you know, let it get halfway, bam, you stop it. You stop the evolution, you don't let it evolve. Okay, you just go through that. And then you go through the process of obtaining Xanthorope. You get the items you need, you go through the steps that you need, and then you get to the evolution process. You do the same thing, you wait for it to almost evolve, then you stop it. Bam, you stop it from evolving. It's like, what happened? You didn't evolve it. Okay, do the same thing with the fire variant. You do the same thing with the water variant. Get those items, you get what you need in order to evolve it into those variants, get to the evolution process state, and then bam, you stop the evolutions. You stop the evolutions, and then what you are essentially doing is you're taking the DNA of all 4 Pokemon types and putting it into your Celos. So this would take a long time. So you wouldn't really use your Celos because you wouldn't want to level it up, because if you level it up to level 100 without doing the proper means, it's just going to stay Celos. You're just going to have a Celos. You're not going to have any other cool type of Pokemon in its ultimate form. So you would just keep it Celos and work toward getting either this variant, or that variant. But in this case, you're aiming to get the ultimate form of Celos by combining all of those materials and getting everything that you would have needed to evolve into one of each individual forms of Celos. You would get this. And oh my goodness, I would tell you right now, you and anyone else would be so happy they went through the fact of going through all that hard work just to get this form. And as you can see here, I went with a design that kind of groups every evolution together that it would have evolved to regularly. And as you can see, a little bit of Xanthorope is there, a little bit of Kata is there, a little bit of Hydros is there, a little bit of Phoenixios is there, and it's all wrapped into one with this Pokemon. And what this Pokemon is the ultimate evolution of Celos, or should I say Silsos, because that's where it started off. But I mean, I say Silos because of the fact that Silos is actually when it's a Pokemon from the fossil. But anyway, you guys know what I mean. This is what you would get. And oh my goodness, I tell you, if you went through the effort and the work to get the particular Pokemon that you wanted, you will be so satisfied. Again, I wanted that level of satisfaction, and I wanted that level of, yes, oh my goodness, yes, I am so happy I went through all that work to get this Pokemon. And I wanted that reward feeling, and I wanted that uniqueness of having something that was individually unique from everybody else. And I'm not talking about cheating and getting it. I'm talking about actually earning what you have and having it be unique from everybody else, and everybody else saying, how did you do that? How did you do that? How long did it take? And blah 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 this and blah 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 that, you know, being really excited, like, well, I got it, you know, I might share it with you, but nah, I want to have this Pokemon to myself a little bit longer. And once again, you don't see that in Pokemon. You don't see any uniqueness there. You don't see anybody with rare Pokemon, maybe every once in a while, you know, but you don't see a type of level of difficulty that gets you to acquire a certain type of Pokemon. There are some, but not in this type of format. So with this is what I wanted to aim at, and this is a legendary, and so are all the other ghost types. They are legendary Pokemon, and that's kind of some of more of the backstory. The reason why this Pokemon was sealed away, because it caused literally so much destruction, and the ancients sealed it away, and the scientists dug it up, and that's how you got it. And this is the ultimate variant of the 4, and I think it looks pretty cool. And when in this state, it's on the par with Arceus or something like that, to that degree. So this is a legendary type, and this is one of the type Pokemon that I would have wanted on maybe the front of the box art. As you can see, it's really detailed. It has spiked feathery wings. It keeps its horn base. It keeps the diamond on his head. The diamond in the front of his chest is like now silver and it's crystallized a bit. It's hard. You can see he still has his collar. It looks pretty cool. And in the back, there was going to be a ball, but I didn't put it there. I should put it there, but I didn't, because I thought it looked more elegant this way. And I kept some of the spikes. As you can see, some of the spikes from Zant and some of the spikes from the Silos there. You can see there's a lot of characteristics from each Pokemon within this one, but this would be the final variant. This is what you get after accomplishing all of that hard work. And again, I don't have any description for this one as far as how it looks. I didn't write anything. I just took so much time drawing this, and as you can see, this one's done on art paper, unlike all the others who were done on like Nova paper. But anyways, guys, I have some bonus stuff I want to show you at the end of this video, but it's pretty much it for me now. Let me know what you guys think of all the Pokemon variant designs and which ones you think is the coolest. Also, I want to know if you guys would like to see these type of Pokemon in upcoming Pokemon games in the future. Let me know, because originally this was the intent. This was the idea that I was aiming toward. I was aiming to give these to Nintendo and Game Freak, and I wanted to get these into some of the video games, but it just never went that way, you know, because I started thinking about other stuff, doing other stuff, was getting older, and I just forgot about these. And like I said, I came across these and I'm like, wow, I completely forgot about these. Let me show these off, because I wouldn't mind having a second opinion and, you know, letting me know what you guys think about all of these designs. But anyways, once again, that's going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you guys like them? Do you dislike them? Anyways, I'm going to head out of here. I'm going to show you guys some last bonus content, some renders of the Pokemon in 3D. I don't have all of them, so don't expect it. And also some more detailed pictures of the Pokemon that I created a little later on after these projects that I made. that show you a little bit more detailed variants of them. And keep in mind, just before we get to that extra little bonus content, the renders that I created of these, the ones that I did do, those are my first renders, my very first renders. I had no experience with 3ds Max, so these are my very first renders as well. So let me know what you guys think of those renders and having them be my very first render. Although one of my Pokemon forms didn't come out like I wanted it to, but Xanthorope came out perfectly. But anyways, I didn't finish them either, so they're not finished, but I'm just showing you guys some renders and some pictures of them, or what I wanted them to look like if they were going to be in 3D, you know. So anyways, I'll see you guys around next time. Take care and enjoy the bonus content. Okay guys, later. Let me know what you think.